Tangi Jezan Dave Mengo Gesaran Dumbe Dan Drache Sembe Sewe Sendru Sarp Drikung Megi Duze Gyo Tujin Dhamma Gule Kyuren Jikten Sumge Kong Kyap Tuan Bema Garbe Jabe Dalu Yizor Yo Ledu Luriga Ronda Marmenze Maon Chamba Dada Jagyat Gungi Tani Nyami Renjen Ben Jiden Zungun Jiaolang Gu Jaze Ongmi Chugi Yingi Bodan Dusun Sangye Gungi Ngoni Nasin Chugu Ngosu Dun Zaba Zawa Lame Jiaolang Gu Jaze Kanda Juju Dungin Jidina Nijik Lomara Girbagan Zoda Dindra Dumbe Chuge Chambe Yambran Deba Damjen Dirje Tene Kesangi Ta Juktina Ma Tene Tsikdi Dirishita Nina Namya Chowa Yi Ta Kongzho So Kongzho Kintesi Sobju Chagwaya Gore Dini Namya Chowa Yi Danam Shiwara Me Shi Kyang Chowa Meba Shiwa Yuru Dini Yundung Cho Yi No Ta Chowa Me Na Ene Di Yundung Cho Yus Yundung Sinye De Dene Ta Mishikba Gyuwa Meba Rangxin Kangi Yang Tene Nöche Matoba Chigirwa Yinduk Rangxin Re Choyi No Chowa Me Na Shiwa Gyurus Ta Nga Zu Sangwa Lo Tene Jangchubling Mi Changma Simje Changma Dewa Dewa Mado Dungye Mando Bari Dungye De Changma Kongzho Dukzubki Ta Dunzune Yungu Yorwa Ta Di Meba Chetubu Chego Res Ta Di Nala Tene Tanda Di Lingxi Di Nala Di Sangye Di Sungsa Di Lugyu Jik Yorwa Ta Di Ngama Nyeyu La Pimi Chichungi Yores Ta Koransu Chongparabu Yinsari Eni Koransu Jiki Jiki Chado Che Che Takpa Pasu Jik Ta Nue Geri Che Dinde Ngane Pensu Kunsin Yube Ngane Ta Chongpare Sedu Che Res Detsi Tue Che Du Jik Di Tadong Ko Ta Sarab Mangpuna Pakja Di Ko Jiki Jiki Dashala Ya Samlo Tangche Jik Di Nu Jin Jik Li Gye Bres Jik Di Tongbe Pomo Jik Li Ya Dene Gye Ne Dene Pomo De La Bugu Di Gye Bugu Ya Gye Yonbe Gang La Ane Nu Jin Di Ku Nyama Kwan Le Di Bugu Di Se Tengma Jik Se Tengma Nyi Se Tengma Sum Se Bugu Dindes Di Nyama Morang Darabu Nu Jin Mo Di Sendru Yores Den Chugu Shiva Di Gyebe Gabla En Chugu Di Ani Gyebu Tanda Nyeyu Yeji Sedwa Yeji Seg Lagang Chirodu Deje Bugu Manja Del Oma Deji Deres En Nu Jin Mo Di Tombada Dene Mo Dene Bugu Di La Ya Nyoba Danche Bugu Di Na Yindu Dene Morangi Hakugu Yosara Dati Nu Jin Mo Di Deji Nga Nyoba Dangu Dusam Gyokpo Sangye Jumden De Jaga Chin Res Sangye Jumden De Zana Da Guji Nga Dinde Gyabro Nanga Dinde Bugu Ganga Dinde Che Song Yube Gangla Ene Sangye Gi Ene Nu Jin Mo Di Yang Gye Dane Dundu Bö Ne Dene Kiranzo Dene Tsangama Da Jigli Jigi Dasha Lembe Wangi Seram Dele Ya Dene Didawo Yugu Yores Dungye Dene Dangsim Shedangi Ta Di Chena Namya Dewa Yuya Yomares Pazu Dasha Lende Na O Tari Tse Dila Ku Diles No O Tse Jemala Ya Di Dasha Lingor Ta Di Gi Nezu Di Ngaranzu Ta Tsengaji Member Dinde Si Manguji Tsen Dina La Ya Manguji Dinde Nezu Yungore Ani Dinge Kashe Nezu Shuyin Ta Nyen Di Shkyuna
The teaching will continue from yesterday. And then the stanza here is number 5, which reads, enmity never ends through enmity, rather enmity ends by non-enmity. This is the law of samsara, this is the internal dharma. This stanza teaches that if we have the attitude of taking revenge, this does not work to bring happiness for ourselves. In this stanza, there is a there's a terminology in Tibetan which is called Yung Tung. Yung Tung refers to something that is firm and stable, or a solid. If there is no attitude of enmity, and if your mind is appeased, then it is equal to have a very firm mind which cannot be destroyed by anything. Yung Tung here also refers to something that cannot be destroyed by anything. So it is essentially referring to your mind that is calm and peace. Generally, in this world, there are a lot of challenges when we talk about the individual life. All these challenges are caused by lack of patience, because of anger and all these affecting emotions. This caused us to suffer many different types of unpleasant experiences. This is the reason why we have to be careful, careful practicing with patience in antidote to anger. Associating with this stanza, there is a story. The story begins with Shavasti, where there was a family. That family had two girls, two sisters, and among these two sisters, there used to be a lot of jealousy and enmity that did not used to make up each other very well, the relationship. So after some time, due to the strong intensity of jealousy and anger, one of them get killed by the other, and then due to that, the girl who died, she reborn as a it is a notion in Tibetan which which can be translated the harm giver. It's a kind of realm in the 6 realms. So due to that, after both of them died, and then one of them took a rebirth in a Gandhara realm, and one of them born as a human again. And then the girl who born as a human again, she gave birth number of times, and then every time she gave birth, her children victimized of the harm of the harm givers. Is a Gandharva, right? Gandharva. Norchin is Gandharva. Yeah. Then due to that bad practice of bad spirits, the first child victimized of the bad spirit of the Gandharva, the girl, another girl who born as a person who always used to hurt others, and then first child died due to the bad spirit of that that girl. And then second happened the same thing, and the third happened the same thing again. And when it comes to fourth child, the mother was outside of a shrine room of a temple, and then she was feeding her fourth child. During that time, her enemy who used to harm her child all the time, she appeared to her again and then started to have bad eyes at her child. And then mother came to know. As soon as she came to know what was happening with her child, she decided to visit Buddha, and then she consulted with the Buddha what she has been going through. And then Buddha realized, he came to know that what was happening with her previous children and so forth. Then Buddha decided to call upon the harm giver, which is called Norjin independent, and then advised her not to be indulged in such malicious practices, killing others. And then she finally listened to Buddha and stopped practicing such bad practices. And then since then, Buddha also realized that these kind of things had been happening in her previous lives due to the jealousy and all these strong negative emotions. And then later it appeased due to the blessing of the Buddha, and then life started to go well. And then this happened due to the strong afflictive emotions which caused by ignorance, and finally because of the strong anger and enmity.
Yin yang ranzu ki da jizo na lo la dinde ji kongzhu kembe nezu di yon di yore yinga la pena ene dashan le yang da wuji di yang peji pena jizo ji ki na lo la tim chan ten ju na mi ji ki pena sebar shi na lamsan di ku nyeje dangre nyeje dan san na nezu di ta chö ban da wuji re yin yang Pejiri ngama dinde miseba dinde la yang tene shibuji timdo thonda dado chema thum nge dinzo yindu ene wutuk je pejir dis sengen di puam yana yangger dashal na yang nezu dinde phenal mangu ngama jizo na yonde ge yore ene di dashal ne mathum na ko halam jizo na lo ta mithashen da woji nyamma woji ko dashal nyan thobda ko paun da woji dinde gi jizo na lo gi ji khaso de machine nang be ge gab ji re de ine nezu dinde gi thola raba de dinde gi de shuk chambu ji tengwe yore an donzo digi yo mare sangye chue chao bang raba ngnyama chwase na le dam yush koyong tene drogba dinde ngama yugurwa drogba dinde singben na la tene rurik jeba ja song ja yugurwa singba zana drunyo chane saki o dinde duba khaji dunu na lessons tene ko di na lo khana se jagre sho je michi seb yimda sa sa du ko the tanyan ke chu yu samarwa tene lo jema ji kinde shin lo jema di yundu 미지 요 코란즈 양디다 생예디 부구를 진게와 디 세바디 부구 인게와 디 요한체 생게디 양도와 손을 요서 디는 코디 세는 데네 코디네 통기라 그래서 하고 통기네 답죽 텐제 그 기히 기갑제드네 칭소스 다고 시부체비 있어요. 대단한 미소 다고 보우로 쓰요. 근데 지소 근데 요어 받아디. 어디 근데 박장 년바직 수행 년바직 어디서 싸웠는데 맵 쳐고 봐. 지난다 대단다 흉기 템 먹고 요하래. 근데 고야 요 말에. 이내 양아 이제 요야 뒤에 페이지 근데 이게 근데 먹고지 배배주나 요를 가면에 어디서 상계 최단 차와방야 다샬렌스야디 아니 자원이는 되게 요 말에 되네 콩주 시단기 아니 뒤토야 요 말에 뒤탄다 상계 좀 된 되게 루나 숨바다 센디마세 세치마야 되네 달렌 체제 아니 동해 khorenga na 되게 요 봐.
So we can see so many cases of taking revenge in our societies because of our afflictive emotions and strong anger that we have in our mind because of ignorance, and then these kind of practices, these kind of bad practices does not meet with the teaching of the Buddha. When we talk about the teaching of the Buddha, so we try not to indulge in such practices, and there are many cases again in the communities. The case of fight, case of quarrel, and finally case of the worst cases beating up and getting killed by each other, and those things are need to be avoided to be happen because of when we talk about the teaching of the Buddha, if we talk about the practice of loving kindness and compassion, those are the practices which need to be kept separated. So therefore, these practices do not come in accord of the teaching of the Buddha. When there are any problems between two communities or two people, or any on any occasion, we should go to. It should be prosecuted. It should be dealt with the law, and according to the law, it should be decided who is the person who is the wrongdoer, and it should be prosecuted properly. And then once there is a court of law, then we don't have to be taking the law into our hands. It should be dealt in the regard of the law. And sometimes it is also seen that when you are lost the cases in such cases because of your wrongdoer, then you are going forward to take revenge with that person which to whom you are lost. And then and it is also seen that because of the enmity and the strong sense of anger, you kill that person. This is such a practice that cannot be accepted by in any cases. So there are a number of cases I heard in Tibet, for example. There is a tradition that if you get into a dispute with a person, and if you fight with that particular person, then if you lost with him, then all the communities would treat you as a loser. You treat you as a loser, and people would see at you as an important person, and this kind of tradition is really something that is to be considered as foolish kind of attitude. It should not be happen in a Buddhist country like Tibet, and also there's a story that I heard. In Tibet, the nomad people would come down to the farmers in purpose of trade, exchanging the barley grains with another the products that the nomad people produce, and when due to some disagreements in trade agreements, then they had a very bad fight, and one of them killed the another person, and due to that reason, the son of the person who was killed came down to the farmer, and he took revenge of killing the person who killed his father, and then he, riding on a horse, he started to say the war cry, Kiki Soso, and so forth, Kiho, and so forth. This kind of tradition is really not considered to be a practice of a Buddhist. It does not say in any kind of teachings of the Buddha. So therefore, we really need to be careful when we get angry. And this kind of practice of taking revenge is such a bad that is in everywhere there's a laws. There's no benefit or advantage from oneself or other. So therefore, anger need to be seized by love and compassion. Anger does not appease by anger. So therefore, this kind of universal law need to be understood.
세상 디난 다조 디 드네 계산에 디나로 조 드네 다 공주 셈을 냐되나 군시 냐되나 된 초남에 시투고 말레스 엔 디나로 다레 디나소 자시월 체고나 공주 시투고 말레스 전에 대나시 상계 소를 먹고지 나라 랑기 시단 저 마투나 치루 다우드신 폐월교 소마나 신기 치루 다우디 뒤네 따고 지글레 찍세 조다 매버시라 봐 인디 탑 카레어스는 랑기 시단 다우 두고요 가에서는 다다 년 가르시에베네 민니기 바르기라 봐 민니기 바르기 자기요 초 찍네 되네 직시다 다우 투비이나 파조가 갑디시스 유디요 말아봐 어디인지 되는 랑기 시단도 어디 두고야 돼 개침부지 아니 네 주단한테는 다 먹고 주송요를 준중단에 송요를 봐 되네 배난 거란서 되네 잠불링디 녀몽 창직이 되네 철매기 사제직레스 가바치네 야 세마 소야한다고 지레스 녀몽 받아라 봐 얘는 야디 마수바 제발라 테네 랑이 강바텔라 고에 함지고나 그저 신배는 수투 말이에요 소문하죠 어디 랑이 시나를 두고야 랑이 수배 과자디기 그저 신배는 내가 셔두고요 말이에요 어디다고 근데 랑규기 랑이 시나도 두야디 개천부지 탑 직부디 임벌이 인디 아니 수배 과자 고매야 될야 되는 배수 고야데 개천부지 뒤중나 신내 되네 용중기 쳐다고 좋아매봐 10월 교바 라야대와 현야대와 아니 디진이기 용중기 쳐기 사도 탑토를 해서
if we continue hold on to the anger and enmity, we cannot be experience any kind of pleasance. Therefore, practice of ceasing the anger and controlling over our anger is very important. Because of our anger, there is enemy. There is enemy. The enemy is a projection of our anger. So therefore, in order to in order to subjugate our enemies, we need to practice patience, the antidote to our anger. And it is also said that in many teachings of the Buddha, if you do not control or if you do not subjugate your own anger by practicing of controlling the external enemies, nothing can be happen by doing so. What essentially here trying to say is that first of all you should try to control your own mind, try to subjugate your own mind. Then the external enemies will be disappeared by spontaneously. And if you able to subjugate your own mind, then the focus on subjugating and controlling the external enemies, no need to be done. When we talk about the cases of dispute and so forth, it always happens between two people, or because of disagreements of the two opinions and two wishes, and then all the problems occurs. In this regard, in the text called the practice of in the text called Bodhisattvachari Avatara, it is categorically says that if you fail to subjugate your own mind, then by the effort subjugating the external enemies does not give any result. And it is given a classical example that if you, for example, the earth is full of thorns. If the earth is covered by thorns, one no need to be covered all the earth by leather. Instead of doing this unrealistic thing, you simply have to cover your sole of the shoes by a piece of leather, and that's equal to covering all the earth by leather. So what here the stanza, the teaching is trying to say is that if you simply able to subjugate or control your own mind, is equal to controlling all the external enemies. So once you're able to do so, then your minds become stable, like swastika.
Di sham ki sikje di rangchan din na rombo shi lala thani mi shi de tela khang ki shi kurba tine kunzin shi wan yur da zo kunzin di tunda zo di kunzin ba ji yor wa di shi wa de che ne zimba de dang gu yor wa chen di gi cha shen di shuk chen bu ju yue wa de ni ene tela kekchi yu tela ya tene di chagi yorwa tela ya tene kapdi chani ene dadela che dustar kowe na kyamdegi yorwa koro goche chezan ene dadabu kunzi hiwar chewa shuna rangi tsendigi chakshindigi tanggo reso di ganda zo di le yu gore da di nala tangpo di nala rangjan dine rombo shis maranzo ngonzhog nale ba Sendele Shembe Nyembur Chiwa Metabo Gom, say Nanga di Cantil de Dora, as Yamland di Namudi, Karishan, Kachambura di, what T. Lalenta Yakshidu, Sendele Shembe Nyembola, Kondru Shiva Chawachuna, Kunzi Mebasor, Kunzi Shevachuna, Sendele Shanja Chawa, Sendele Shanja Shiva Nyembola, Chiwa Metawa Sams, di Rangja Dino Drobuis, Nazu Dinala, Chakshin Chiaga. Ne yo mares ngazo di luid drombo da bo jing de ya ba sam ji ma do ji gi den du be de ne den du ngazo long ju ya ji gi den ji ja che ne che ya ge de ne gi yu da bo ani tuen chen bu ji yo mares su yo di du di na le ya de ne ngazo de ne drombo da bo ji de sa de me da ba Understand the Medaba Kinderasana? Then Jidan Aranzo, then Gibe Tama Sangmashia Yimba. Then Sakbe Tama de Zondrea Yimba. Zigbe Tama Hindrea Yimba. Dube Tama de Katendrea Yimba, Jiden Di Nalogi, then Duce Sangmaro, Kuzubu Sangmeg Rangshindi. Yes, Kayasana and Dina Tamaloni, Gugene gave a Tamje Yindu, never the jig to you. A giving over Jigene gave over the Tamjani, Medabarashi to Shindu Yorwa. Yindu also did not tend to Yamar, Drombosam Giranshi. The Samalo negative test using Mother Della, Zija Shebegitane, Uji Kaya Yomareso.
Shloka number 6. It reads that the others know not that in this quarrel we perish. Those of them who realize it have their quarrels calmed thereby. Perhaps we do not have these words in the text, right? Okay. So it's again emphasizing on how to appease or control our mind, how to bring our mind on the how to bring our mind calm. So in this regard, all the enmity and the anger and so forth caused by and because of attachment to our physical body, due to the strong attachment to ourselves and grasping to ourselves, these all problems occurs. So therefore, the basic practice, what we need to be done is that we should try to give up the attachment to ourselves. If you're able to do so, then the rest of the things or the results of the that caused by the attachment and so forth will be ceased automatically. In the practice of Mondo, or the preliminary practice of Drikung Kagyu lineage, it says that to antidote to attachment to our own body, we need to have the understanding of the meaning of death and the meaning of impermanence and so forth. If you able to create the sense of understanding of impermanence and death, and then the sense of the attitude of attachment to ourselves will cease by automatically. So the antidote to attachment is the understanding of death and impermanence. So, regarding the understanding of our own body, when we talk about our body, this is like a rented house which need to be returned to its own owner when the time comes. So the body is not for is not a permanent residence. So therefore, this kind of understanding should be internalized in ourselves in order to get rid from the attachment that we have towards our body. And then there are a few other things to be mentioned regarding this context. When we try to understand more practically about the impermanence of our impermanence, and then it is obvious that after we born, we has to be departed. This is the internal law, and after coming together, the separation is natural. After collecting of anything like money and so forth, and property and so forth, the exhaustion of them is a universal law. So therefore, by having this kind of understanding, we should try to avoid attaching anything that brings us unhappiness and unpleasant.
Then metabadi kola sangye yuta so mangu dual penang ras namju tawa sungda karma rabri marmeta gyumasi bachur da milam lo da tin da ban duje shuna meda da kandang aranzu zambuling dinala ya tene migi thoya yue ba tene lagbe thong nyuya yue ba regya yue ba dia chamalo tene duje chöjiri gyugyen then Mangbu chi the trumne and dine medabara shi chi yundu pena namge thonging aranzo karma dabulas ro karma de yantene raba ngazo chi thalebe sim sing sigdo de yantene chi medabara shi re aranzo zambuling din na shi karma de yan zambuling chi dabore sashi ribu dabo anang aranzo chozo dena chozo nishu zabshina chigla made bo kore gyage yorwa kore gaya yokshu kinde do da ngana chuzu karche karja la sigda rwa be gyosh du do dinashi kore gaya yor chigla madya ba te nashin ki nganzu meze de sen do yor ba odi nashin ki kama dige kangalo kore gaya kama do jigi dongdu gyabje den saani hashe ki tsening ba chane barge chane ngana zu chen ya nam khol te na den kanda gyabdo mongos phungu do the sound of your she jidenti not never kama rabber marmeta marmit chemeladana and that chemede garanzo and that pune kale chemede she never child ba dinna she mezidin dinna she is mezidin tenen garanzo chemelung lungbunala cheme yeba dabuji garanzo mezidin tenen ji ngaranzu rewalata ta lo geju gubju deya rewar je yore de yina ya gelen yo mare tungen dan gegen shenen gegen mangare habar de ting tuning wat zu gawliya ani kesi benan ngaranzu miji lo geju khanaji debe be chala parje meba debe wandu nambe yina ya samrajiknana ngazu thari de yebe de changnyam chana lo shibju yeba chana ta lo shibju de ji rugi de yorwa lo shibju tela samras tambe yena ya o di lo chaga de sna khol ni nye de ta ro lo nishu ka jizon de zo yo mari shibna shi nilam ra da ma do al ngone ji che lo nishu ji yor da lo shibju sha da ji mi ji yena ta ngone gi chowa ya lo nishu za ra ji le mi do ga ji gya be na 대양한테는 로니슈딩 알아서 단답해도 로니슈 침바도 삼로시다는 시시담나 이 마셔봤다 보면 메즈디 근데 세유미 하마고 받다 보지 레바이키나스 가셔디 춘주간 레요레 로니슈자나 숨주스 레서 kindes chimbina samsam ro dinde jinga la mezi sen ro ya la jiran di na lo so su ji gyawa che ya de ne lo jun che ya de xian dui che ya de mi lu len ne sim jian xian da la man da zi ji de pen do che hu ya de ke chen bu ba o di yin du de ne be so che hu ya le
Trying to understand the meaning of impermanence more deeper. There are a number of classical examples are given here, like impermanence, like stars that twinkling stars. It's like a lamp that can be extinguished by any time. And then impermanence is like a mirage and bubble and so forth. These classical examples are associated with our life. For example, when we talk about the twinkling star, it has no consistency in its shining. It just sometimes it shines and sometimes it just vanishes. It is shines. So similarly, our life is not impermanent, not permanent. Just like this, it demonstrates in this way. Sometimes the stars are getting collided with each other and falls down. Similarly, our life, because of the nature of impermanence, vanishes someday. And then coming to the example of a lamp, which can be extinguished by strong wind. Our life is like that, because any unfavorable condition, our life can be perish anytime. And then similar with mirage and bubble. And bubble is just lasts for a very few seconds and disappear. Similarly, our life can our life can perish any time, just like the bubble. So these are the classical examples that is given in the texts. So these are because of the meaning of dependent arising. Each and everything are connected, interconnected. So this happens in the law of dependent arising. When we talk about the time, in 24 hours, the second is always running the fast. And then when we talk about the milliseconds, it is always moving, never stops, never stops. At the same time, our life also goes at the same phase of that movement of the seconds. So it means that we are always moving forward. It is impermanent. So this kind of understanding we should have in our mind in order to get rid from these such and such attachments to our physical body. So these are, when we talk about the favorable conditions and unfavorable conditions, unfavorable condition is more dominant, and we always dominant. We are dominant by the unfavorable conditions in comparison to the favorable condition. So anything can happen at any time to us in regards of the understanding of impermanence. For example, if we are supposed to live 85 years old, and in this gathering, the average age of us must be 40 around. And then we are supposed to live more 40 or 45 years, and then rest of the 40 years, 20 years we are spending our life by sleeping, and then only 20 years we are living awake. So through this precious time, we should try our best to use our life in practicing dharma, benefiting other, and so forth. This is what we need to be understood in terms of the law of impermanence.
Di tsazik rwa, tsazik de rangcha dina drombo shis maransu drongana denye midawo resu gyorba, da drongana se sangi tondora nima khaje de didawo, da didawo resu di khadawo drombo dawo de khade midagba ranshi resu gyorba. Ani lale thani mishi des drombo yima de shingi yomaras de wadi shenyagi chedu ani midagba de ge peti. Tanda kondu sangeegita tsikdi shubarwa di tsikniba di gyuma siba shubur tang sarwa tsikniba di gyuma daboras mindru denya dabo mazo mikdru dingidwa rama chalama mazo meze mikdru daboras gyuma kengi mikyu dabo yamana doga chamye dawo dine thara chap ne pa ye dine yan chap odi dawo midabaranshi siba dine ngaranzu shoba ngabo ne zezela siba doga dina shiris zezela shoge dine siba char chobe yorba otungerwa wedange doga niman dang poche ina ya yuzam shigla siba de ye ne kamdu yorba odi dawo dine midabaranshi 유마스가 추불다 추나를 보아도 야 단다야 칙칙칙칙 야 쿠구 야다 예루보다 디나싱가라 좀 미즈데 메다바 유메서 기만다 추불다 밀럼로다 진다고 안테 뎀바 밀럼다보레스 봐 밀럼다보 지가라서 직다 추나지 니세도 가게 요마르와 어디다보 나란서 계산 셰브디게 사사라다 어디 밀럼다보 샤사르 kenyiga chi nawa yudo o dinde chimbi yisa nawa chi mado yo mare didabu chasari ditala dine zinja chakdang kongru chebegi dine yu ka yo mare sde mira sungu yorba milam lo da jindabu ode lo kyuba dabu kyukzam jindabu donge jindabu jine mendagba 어디다보 때네 제 디인듀 가서 때네 센디 데다보 닝부 메게지라 아니 닝부 진네 착단다 테마 페버치하게 되네 닝부 지야메바디 되네 방고의 인송 대야랑이 시와진 되거나 라메스델라 랑게 자와다보 심자삼바 자와죠 대와리 기버시 고구요나 안데 방고요레스 디 방마텀나 안 칸에 디기다 라와 디기나 라와 동바레마도 칸에다 라와 삼직세 레가데 샹다지체나 연토 마르와 칸에 셰바 셈르 삼바나시 라레 직드로나 안 텐다 두부투고르바
more classical analogies come in order to understand the meaning of impermanence here. And when we talk about the impermanence of our life, it is also the life is also associated with mirage. Mirage, it is visible from distance, but when we go to the place where it was seen, you cannot really find what we have seen before there. So life is similar to that, because to the next minute it disappears. So the impermanence of our life is very similar to this thing. And also life also refers to the impermanence of life also refers to a dancing by an artist. When we see the dance there, in next few minutes the dance will be stopped and the artist will be disappear. Similarly, our life is here just like an artist. We are dancing of this life, but after some time when it perishes, everything is disappeared. Another classical example of impermanence here is dream. Our life is like a dream. It comes and disappears. We can see the dream in our while we are sleeping, and then after some time, of course, because of the nature of impermanence, it disappears. Similarly, our life, because of this sort of time, we are here and we can feel and perceive whatever we see, and everything happens. But after some time, when it comes to its end, then it disappears again. It perishes, just like the dream. And the lightning example is that when lightning happens, and it just comes for a very short time and disappears again, and it is very similar to our life also. It, for example, to come to this earth, taking a birth on as a human and visiting this, living in this world, is just like having a lightning, which is in terms of the time, it is considered to be a very short time and disappears again. So therefore, the practice of dharma and so forth is considered to be the meaningful of practice. And then one more classical example is the cloud. Cloud gathers in the sky, on the sky, and then it does not last for a long time. It does not stay there for a long time. It after some time it disappears again. And our life is similar to the cloud. Our life, here we are having a good life and so forth, but after some time, as like the cloud that has been gathered up in there, we have to be like the cloud. We have to be disappeared, similar to the cloud. So therefore, by understanding these kind of examples, these examples, the given examples, there is associated to nature of our life. We should not have attachments to this life. So attachment is the one which causes the all sufferings and other things. Therefore, we should try to understand which is meaningful to be held, which is meaningful to be practiced, which is meaningful to be adopted in terms of the practices. And if we fail to understand to the object that is to be cherished and that is to be cared of, then we fail to understand the meaning of our lives. So therefore, to create a happy life and a prosperous life, all this attachment has to be given up, and only then you can have a good life and happy life and prosperous life. Whatever we say and whatever the action and our word has to be gone hand in hand. If we fail to combine the action and the words that we say, then the result would be not in our favor. So therefore, the action and the word what we say has to be combined and practiced together.